Alright. Welcome back to Tomboy Official. Welcome back to the podcast. Good morning. My voice is still getting there. Let me see. Sorry, I'm writing one more note. And I'm not spelling correctly even. Alright, I'm waking up with a headache. Not sure what that's all about. Slept probably about 7 hours, so I'll say I'm ready to get up. I think I started dozing around 6:45 no, what am I saying? I think I started dozing around 12:35. I was up watching Gundam anime. Don't ask. That's just what I was doing. So, I didn't know that Netflix had like a bunch of the old movies basically, and I love Gundam. And I'm still working on this computer that the hard drive has more space, and it's a gaming laptop, and it should be better than the one I'm rocking right now. The one I have right now that I'm using is for, basically word processing and just, to take to coffee shops and to go from one part of the house to the next without having to worry about plugging stuff and unplugging stuff and all that kind of stuff. Mac Ingemi put up a video about gender expression, and I'm gonna get into talking about that. But I still want to keep up with this week, kind of. So today's the first day of the week because it's Sunday. Last night I somehow completely forgot to post the video, the podcast episode I recorded. So I apologize for that, but I noticed it this morning when I logged in, and I just was like, oh my gosh, I gotta post this thing. So I posted it this morning, and I will likely post this current recording, I don't know when, but maybe later today or early morning tomorrow. So today, I wanted to get enough sleep so that I can properly hit the gym. I don't know if I feel like going to the gym, but I think it'll be my best option for a decent workout. Maybe because it's Super Bowl, I don't know why there was traffic at 6:45 a.m. But, I woke up to some relatively heavy traffic for a Sunday morning, and I think maybe that's what it is. Maybe people are getting ready for their parties. I don't know. It feels kind of early for that, but, maybe it's not. I don't know. It just feels kind of early for people to be up. If it was Monday morning, that would be different, but it's Sunday morning. I grew up living off of a highway, and so I'm very, and lived in the city pretty much most of my life, and I'm very familiar with, the ebb and flow of the traffic in the city, and especially in this specific area of the city. And I don't think that usually even before 10 on Sundays, there's traffic that's loud enough that I notice it. We have one of those kind of plastic plastic gates. I don't know. Like, we used to have like wooden fences on one side of the house, and then this fence, it's a fence, I guess technically. It's plastic though. It's not wooden, because the wooden ones, they look beautiful, but the one that we had before rotted, and now we the neighbors that this one put up, I think we contributed somehow. I don't remember to what extent or what amount, but I think we contributed. And maybe we split the cost. I really don't know. This was like years ago. I really don't remember exactly what happened, but I know we had a different fence at one point in time, and then it started like leaning because all these like plants were growing and pushing it, and it was kind of rotted or whatever. But yeah, basically it's plastic, so the sound bounces off of it more than the wooden one. And so ever since we've had this fence, like, it doesn't really amplify it like significantly, but maybe it's because I woke up with a headache too, and I kind of noticed that there's like more kind of sound, like I was kind of maybe more sensitive to it. I don't really know. I hope that this headache is either because I took Pepto yesterday or because I didn't have caffeine in my system yet, which I just had almost half of a yerba mate bottle, and getting my energy kicked up right now. And I yeah. So I'm trying to hydrate this morning as well. I mean, it's even too early for me to even be thinking of breakfast. Part of me was like, okay, just lay back down till like 9, and then I was like, no, like, just get up. Like, I don't want to lay back down. Like, I don't know, but something's up. I've got these dark circles under my eyes. I've had it for like most of the week. Today it looks a little bit better. Like, on the right side, there was like this part that was like going down, like a little, like not just like right under my eye, but there was an area that looked like it was going like downward. I don't know if it's because when I sleep, sometimes, I sleep like on top of like one of my hands or something, like on my face, and then like maybe my face is bruising. But the dark circles under my eyes, that's not related, but that's something else. I don't know. I started noticing that though. Definitely this year, definitely 2022. There's a lot I started noticing. And I'm going to talk more about that kind of stuff, like when we're talking about gender expression and those types of topics. I want to throw age in there because it's something that for me has contributed to a lot of other things. Age and kind of like stages of life of things. So if you hear me drinking water, I'm drinking water in the background. Just trying to hydrate for the morning. This is the easiest way to do it, honestly, is just before I even eat breakfast, just get through at least 1 or 2 water bottles. So, yeah, yesterday, I don't know what I finished. I did do some podcast recording, but I apparently didn't post all of it. I am thinking about making this ad and a product review. I thought about doing it last night and I didn't do it. I didn't work on the laptop, but the parts came in early in the morning yesterday. They got here before I was even eating breakfast. And then I talked to some friends online a lot. I don't know. I play video games. Played a lot of video games. Not a lot of different types of video games, but I was playing Watch Dogs a lot. I'm kind of surprised my computer can handle it. This computer I'm using is not that good, but it handles Watch Dogs really good. And I'm using this controller, the Easy SMX gamepad. It's like, I think it's the 9110 with the color splash on it. That skin. I was learning about some screen recording software. I don't think I'll be like Twitch streaming or anything. Like, I'm not even good enough for anyone to watch me, but maybe. I mean, it's one of those things that's like, if you're gonna play anyways, you might as well play and, you know, create some content out of it. So I don't know, but I don't think I want to make this a normal weekend habit of staying in and playing video games, but it felt good. I liked it. Watched some Gundam, watched some other animes too, a little bit. I'm kind of looking for a new one that I haven't seen, so in the meantime I'm watching Gundam. There was a game I wanted to play. I've been wanting to play SD Gundam, but I can't because my computer can't do it. I just don't have enough space. I've only got like 94 gigs left of space, and most of these games take over 100, 200 gigs, so I don't really have a lot of space on there. And I think most of my stuff on my laptop is saved as in the cloud. I mean, I have some music software, a little bit of video footage, but I think the video footage is through Windows Live, through Movie Maker. So I don't believe it's, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but I don't think it has to take up that much space if I log in. I don't really know, though. I don't really rely on logging in too much because our Wi-Fi is trash. But yeah, I mean, it works enough, I guess. But yeah, I was having issues yesterday. Yeah, I don't know what was up with me yesterday. I didn't really get a lot done. I was a little conflicted because I was like, okay, like, I don't normally do any work on Saturdays. And then, I was like, part of me was like, I really want to stick to this tradition of things. And then another part of me was like, yeah, but you didn't really do anything this week, pretty much. And then I was like, I'll just, every time I started trying to get something done, I didn't do it until about 4 or something. I think I got in a good, like, from 4 to, like, 5 something, because I think my mom cooked something and she started texting me about it, and then I was telling her I'll be there, I'll eat around 6 something, and then I was like, let me just eat now, so I ate around 5 or so, and I eat dinner pretty early. Sometimes I eat around 4 or something, like, and then like 5 something. Usually I eat dinner before 6. I definitely try to eat before 8, but I usually eat dinner early. And I got into that in the last couple of years because I was getting off work at like 4 and I was already home. So it was like, well, I would go do some podcasting and then grab dinner. Sometimes it would be pretty late because I wanted to be out of the house and doing something else. And so I just recorded in the car, as you guys very well know. And then I kind of got on with my evening. And this was usually weekdays after work. Usually me venting about my roommates, how much they were driving me nuts. That was basically like the whole podcast at that point. And yeah, like I don't really know. Just talked to some friends online. Caught up with some friends. Shout out to my friends, man. Like, people are going through it right now. Everybody's really, there's a lot of anxiety going around. I mean, it's not even all directly economy based. I feel like a lot of us are making a lot of career transitions. Like, even if it's not transitions into a different work site or whatever, or it kind of is. Like, I know so many people who've had a lot of things change with their job, myself included, in the last not even full 12 months, like half a year even. And it's just I get really like, our generation specifically, we weren't really taught to live a life path kind of what we're doing now. A lot of us, a lot of people are, conflicted about college, about university, about brick and mortar type of traditional in-person school. People are considering trades. People are switching jobs a lot more often, it seems like. Some people are going maybe back to school, or getting certifications. People are switching jobs, trying to level up their pay rates. People are hustling out there. A lot of people are looking for like job satisfaction, work-life balance, ways to like where their work effort meets the pay rate, and the pay rate helps them reach their financial goals and needs. That's kind of the category I'm in. I need that job to be, a viable source of income. I can't be getting paid like basically almost like a living stipend. That's kind of what it feels like I was getting paid. It felt like, it's like a stipend. That's kind of what it felt like. It's like you're working for the county. Here's a little bit of money so you can kind of live. That's kind of what it felt like. It wasn't like I'm doing this so I can build my, build wealth for my future. Like that. That's not really the pay rate that we were at. We were at, these people need help. These companies have no money. You're trying to do some good deeds here and, use your compassion skills and other skills to, help out this broken system. That's kind of what I felt like the job was. And then here's the living stipend on top of it. It wasn't a living stipend though. It was actually a paycheck, but I mean, it felt like a living stipend. It felt like, when you go to a university and you're doing work and you get like like in grad school, they give you like a living um like a, I don't know what you call it, like a lifestyle living stipend or something. That's kind of what it felt like. But yeah, I've noticed a lot of people making those changes. A lot of people looking for new work. A lot of people really want to be satisfied with what they do and don't want to be working for companies that just couldn't care less about them anymore. Like, I think we're a different generation of people, and a different generation of professionals, and we feel like we know our worth, and we had most of the Rona to think and evaluate and reevaluate our lives and figure out what we kind of wanted for ourselves. And a lot of us did a lot of work on ourselves and came out of that situation and realized, hey, why shouldn't I have what I want for myself, if it's possible to get there. I think a lot of us kind of snapped out of the days, the haze and the days. But yeah, I feel like corporations are pushing back. They're kind of like, we don't want to pay you. We don't want to, do this or that. But the money can be there. Sometimes it's corporate greed, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, like, the job I worked before, the last one, the pay rate almost doubled during 2022. The pay rate almost doubled from what I was getting paid in 2019 and up until the beginning of May of 2020, the pay rate almost doubled. It was like a few dollars shy, like $4 shy of like double what it was. It would have almost been like a 50% raise, which still was not even a lot of money. Not a lot of money, but in San Diego, it doesn't go that far. Like, it would have been like barely enough to afford like a studio. I so I'm trying to think. Yeah, it's kind of all I did yesterday. I got a little bit done, not a lot. I don't think I'm going to watch the whole Super Bowl because I don't want to spend 3 or 4 hours of my day watching sports. But if I decide to be lazy, I'll watch Super Bowl. If I decide to not be lazy, I'm not going to watch it. And I do want to get done with a lot of my morning routine early before I run out of steam. I plan to go maybe 45 minutes after breakfast or so to the gym. And then I'll have that out of the way and I can go for a while. I don't know if I really want to go for a couple hours, but I could go, I feel like I should go for like at least 90 minutes, if not an hour 45. I kind of want to go, see, there are 2 gyms that are relatively near distance, like just about the same distance. They're both like 12 or so minutes away, a little over 10 minutes, not quite 15 minutes away, just a couple miles in either direction. And one of them's newer, has a sauna and everything, but it doesn't have, the bikes where you sit down and it's like forward facing. It doesn't have those bikes, and I like those bikes. It has the regular cycles, those like, I don't know if they're Pelotons, Schwinns. I think they're Schwinns actually. It has those. So Yeah, those are the bikes it does have. And they kind of hurt my butt, but they are good bikes. And actually the one we have in our living room, no, it's not forward facing though. I don't like that it has this chair. Like, the chair is good for you, but it has like a little backrest on the chair, and it's a little, the resistance isn't strong enough for me. And so yeah, I'll probably do cycling because that's a good warm-up for me. I really do need to get on the cardio game. I'm slacking so hardcore on cardio. Like, I'll lift, but I need cardio. Cardio is what I need. I don't like it. I don't like it if I'm not doing something particular, like hiking or playing a sport, snowboarding, rollerblading. Like, I don't really like cardio if I'm just, in the gym, like kind of like a hamster wheel kind of thing. I think it's a little uncomfortable, getting in my head. I think it's one of those things. Like, I kind of get in my head a bit. But I don't know. I think sometimes C4 helps. Just because I want to work out, because it gives me like so much energy. But I did drink a lot of yerba mate. You're not really supposed to drink pre-workout on the same day as other caffeinated beverages. But when I do, and I'm breaking the rules, but when I do, it's like 25% to 33% of a scoop. It's not even a half a scoop. Half a scoop is 200 milligrams of caffeine plus all the full dosage of all the other ingredients. So 50% of that is like 100 milligrams, and then even half of that is like 50 milligrams. So 50 milligrams of caffeine added to this yerba mate, which, does it say on here? It says one bottle contains 140 milligrams of caffeine. So I had about half a bottle of this, so that's 70. So if I say 70 milligrams plus 50 milligrams, that puts me at 120 milligrams of caffeine for the day, which isn't terrible. Usually I can do fine off of like 75 or so milligrams total for the day, but I'll say if this is like 120, that's not bad if I actually go to the gym for a while. And the gym with the sauna has some newer equipment, but it just gets a little crowded and the parking's annoying. So I don't really know, but it's like the other one's a little cozier. I feel like I can work out there a little easier, but I don't know. I'll see which one I go to. One of them's next to a Japanese. Well, they're both next to Japanese markets. So I don't know. I feel like the earlier I go, the better. Like, if I get there before 10 a.m., that's usually a good time to be there. So I'll need to see. I don't really know what time I want to go. I'm struggling this morning a little bit with that choice, but okay, so that was like the world's longest intro to kind of wake myself up. But I think I'm fully up now. So Ingemi had this video about gender expression. You guys know I love Ingemi's content. Um, and a question kind of came up for me kind of earlier in that video regarding gender expression. So gender expression is basically the way a person kind of expresses and presents themselves, like behavioral action, that's kind of tied to gender norms, if you want to call them that. So that could be anything from clothing style. I started also thinking about like, different types of conversation and things like that. So, usually people would say that something is more towards masculine or more towards feminine, right? And that's what they mean by gender expression. Like, is the expression more towards this way, more towards that way, somewhere in the middle? Or doesn't really fit any of those. I don't think drag is like a good example, but in a way it kind of is. It's like an exaggerated example. So like, I think I mentioned, going to Hamburger Mary's. It was like this, the night that I most recently went, for that drag night. It had drag kings, usually it's drag queens, but this time I had drag kings, and also other types of characters. Like, I was trying to explain this to a friend of mine because I think they asked me if I'd ever seen drag kings before, and I was like, I've seen drag queens, and then the ones that are like character types, like they're not like really supposed to be like a female look. It's kind of like animals or some other type of costume type thing, like an out of this world kind of look. It's not even like something that you would be like, oh yeah, that's more masculine or feminine or what. It's like, I don't even know if this is like a human type thing, type look, So I've been to places that have a lot of that, and like they were like the go-go dancers, I guess, technically. But one question that kind of came to mind, or one kind of idea, was kind of knowing how you want to express your gender, while having pressures to try to figure that out, right? And then comparing that to like trying to figure it out, whether it's through like a stage of questioning or just trying to get comfortable with the changes of whatever those choices look like. If somebody's kind of making some kind of changes, changes can be anything like, haircuts, growing hair, clothing style changes, maybe going from like a look where it's like you only wear like gym type clothes, like basketball shorts and running shorts and hiking shoes and just like fitness t-shirts and stuff like that, to wearing like dresses or like sundresses, or to wearing like suits or something, like bow ties, and or like that kind of UK schoolboy look with like I don't think anybody really dresses like that as like a fashion, but like the kind of like uniform type shorts with the t-shirt and like suspenders, bow tie, like I don't know, like whatever you want to call it, but going from looking one way to looking another way. Some people are gradual, some people do this overnight, but some people know, they kind of know what they would prefer to do. They just kind of are like, oh, like I have this natural inclination to like like this is the way I'd want to like express myself. This is my comfort level. This is what I want to do. But, the people around me, whether I walk out of my room wearing something or I'm at the mall shopping and I'm with friends and, maybe I have all female friends and we're looking in a store and it happens to be all like guys' clothes or whatever. That kind of happened to me the other day, actually. I was kind of at the mall in Rancho Cucamonga and just catching up with a good friend of mine, and we were, walking around the shopping center. I don't remember the name of it. It was like Gardens, Victoria Gardens or something like that. And there's like this shopping center that has like this, I think it's like a train track or something that goes through it, or like a trolley, or I don't know. Maybe it was like a little kids train. I can't remember. Something about a train. But we were like shopping, and me and my friend were just going into different stores and like talking and like shopping. And this is a male friend of mine, and I don't know if he noticed, but like when we were looking at the clothing types of stores, I wasn't like going over to like the women's section and looking at the women's clothes. I was kind of like looking at like the corduroys, like the guys' side, and the t-shirts and the shoes and sneakers and boots and sandals. And I was mostly looking in the guys' side. I wasn't like looking for myself, but the stuff that I was like looking at, and I don't know if I even really fully noticed it, but I was like, well, he probably doesn't want to shop in the girl section, and I don't either. So I'm not even gonna go over there because it's not really what I like. There's nothing over there that I would want to buy anyways. Like, we weren't there to like actually buy anything, but you know how you're just browsing. So we went into multiple stores like that, and stores with games, stores with video games, stores with clothes, all kinds of stuff. And I wonder if he noticed like how much I was kind of like, with the even like toys and stuff, like where I was talking about, oh, like as a kid I used to like this or I used to like that, and it was all like robots and like trucks and all this kind of stuff. Like I don't really know if like people pick up on that kind of stuff, but I was just thinking about it right now, where I was like, yeah, we went on this whole like little shopping spree, and I mean, we didn't buy anything, but like, I wasn't like talking about my life like, oh yeah, I used to play with these dolls, and like, I mean, I played with dolls as a kid, like, too, but my interests were in like, I really like those erector sets and steel tech and that kind of thing. I remember I was really into that, and like connects, and like anything that had to do with just like building stuff. I like to make stuff, build stuff. Gundams, I used to love Gundams. We used to make the little chibi ones at school sometimes. My friend would get them for me for like gifts sometimes. And I would like build them. I used to think they were so cute and awesome. And yeah, we were, yeah, like, I think knowing, while you have the pressures of having to conform in your environment, usually those pressures come from traditional spaces, like if it's like a religion or some kind of a town's culture, or just like an area of the world and their view about like gender roles and gender expression and who should dress like what. Like, some places are really kind of like, it's not like, oh, people are just gonna look at you sideways. Like, people will, be aggressive about it sometimes. Like, I've dated people who talked about experiences about being yelled at while they're walking down the street, and like, people like, trying to instill some kind of fear in them. and people getting harassed, and people getting almost like disowned, or if you've seen the movie Dope, there's a character, I forget her name. She plays a lesbian character, but they're in like high school age, and I think they're like seniors in high school pretty much, and it takes place in Inglewood, and they're basically in like an inner city area going to a public school, and it's kind of a lot of like, I don't want to call it like black culture, like it's not like only, but there was like an idea in there where the girl who played the lesbian was saying like, oh yeah, like they would try to like pray away the gay or whatever, and like there's like a scene where it shows her like kind of reminiscing about her experience having to go to church, and you see kind of how she dresses at school with her boys, with her friends and stuff like that, and then you see her in the scene like at a church like wearing this dress like in one of these like prayer circles, and they're all trying to like lay hands on her and like pray over her so that she'll become less gay, and she's there just like checking out the other ladies, and it's like, and wearing like this dress, and like I think her hair was like in a certain style, which is like, you can tell that's not really how she was dressing, but she had to dress that way because of the church. Like those are kind of examples where it's like, yeah, you might know what fits you, but you might not be able to like comfortably do it. Unfortunately, it might not be safe. It might not be emotionally safe. It might not be safe for your career. It might not be safe for your, it just might not be safe, on a lot of different levels. And then there are other people who are, trying to like figure it out. I'm kind of in a little bit of a stage like that right now. Not where I'm trying to like figure out, too much about, like, I know identity wise how I am and things. Expression wise, I would say, there is a lot of that, code switching. And as I'm going into, new job territory, new career space, that is something that comes up where it's like, okay, I worked at this other job for 7 years. They've known me for like almost 9 years. I came into myself a lot in that company and was able to just kind of get away with dressing however I dressed, and I just kind of like would slowly change it. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. Let me make sure I'm not running out of time here. All right, I got about 15 more minutes max. So when I go back to looking at childhood and youth, and I've talked about this a lot before, but this is just my own experience. I can't really speak to others, but I like talking about it because I feel like it's relatable for a lot of people. In my childhood, when I was really young, my parents dressed me. I don't think I cared too much about, like, what I wore, like, how it looked. Like, I know I had favorite articles of clothing, and certain cuts of clothing that I kind of liked more than others. I think when I was maybe in about second grade or so, I started noticing, or maybe around second grade, I started noticing the certain preferences I had for certain styles. I used to get these hand-me-downs from these close family friends. They were like the Serbian family, and they would give me these like hand-me-downs because they had two daughters that were like maybe a size or two in clothing, a little bit bigger than I was, and so I would wear their hand-me-downs, and they gave me clothes that were in good condition. And I remember um, there were some sweaters that I liked. I mean, this is like the 90s. Remember how they had those like wild, like knitted sweaters and like they just had these crazy looking designs? I used to wear those. I used to like those kind of sweaters. I remember, I don't know what age I was at any of these times, but I remember I had like a little preppy phase where I used to think, okay, I want to look nice. So I would wear like jeans and like kind of like these long sleeve kind of button down shirts. They were kind of like almost like Western. I kind of had this like Western look to me where I would like tuck in my shirt. I would literally tuck in my shirts. I would tuck in my shirt. I can't remember if I would wear a belt, but I liked that look for some reason. Just like the shirt tucked in, the belt, jeans. I used to have those like gray stonewashed jeans and stuff like that. But I used to wear outfits like that a lot where I would tuck in my shirt. Probably youth going into my teens. It was definitely pronounced like the way that I would dress. Like I was really into like hip hop and that kind of thing. But we started getting school uniforms when I was in like fourth grade or fifth grade or something along those lines. And so we could no longer just dress however. We had to wear these uniforms. I kind of liked that the uniforms were like slacks and shorts and stuff. But Fridays we had chapel and we had to wear either the jumper, the skirt, or if you're based on your age range. So K through, I think it was 6, had to wear this like jumper, and then it was plaid. They were ugly. Like they're still ugly. It's like the same uniforms. The 8th, I think 6th grade or 7th grade and on were these skirts. I had a skirt that was like, it was like a wraparound skirt. I remember that. Others had a different skirt, but I had this, it was like pleated all around and it was like a wraparound. But I don't think anyone else had those styles. And then we always had like polo shirts or Peter Pan style or with the collar, that kind of rounded collar. And I kind of liked it because like, other than the skirts, it was kind of more like that preppy style. I kind of liked that style because there was a little bit of like mask presentation with it, but then it was like dressed up enough that people were like, they kind of knew you were maybe like putting in a little effort. I think that's kind of why I kind of did like those like preppy styles, because it's like it didn't draw negative attention even if I was doing something like even if I was wearing something more mask. Because if you think about the 90s, like a lot of clothing was like baggy. Like there were the people that were like the rockers, the ravers. They had these like big pants and the chains, and like the skaters back then, you'd get these like Junko jeans and they'd be like so wide they would cover like your whole feet, and like you could almost fit your whole body in one of the legs of those pants. Like they were so big. Like so I don't really know, but the 90s was its own thing, its whole own time. And clothing was pretty gendered. I think there were groups that I looked up to, and like musicians like TLC and Aaliyah and like certain kind of like female musicians. They kind of had that like hip hop kind of style, kind of like an urban style to them, like with the flannel shirts that were like baggy, or like the baggy what do you call it, like overalls. I was really into sneakers. Like I remember I had like the Gary Paytons, the Sean Kemps. Like I was around basketball a lot in LA, and around people who were kind of like into hip hop music and stuff too. So like that part of when I was growing up and trying to find kind of like cliques and different groups of people with similar interests, hanging around Venice Beach or whatever, I kind of noticed the different parts of black culture there. There was more like black Americans and like Caribbean type people. And then, when I would play basketball, there were black people and multiple races. But I mean, that was the most concentrated areas that I hung out around black people. And, looking like I do and everything and being black, I didn't really have like where I was raised and where I went to church and where I went to school wasn't predominantly black. And so I was able to kind of be around people that like skin tone looked a little more like me, hair texture looked a little more like me, facial features, there were some accents in there and some kind of like understanding and stuff. And even though I was young, I feel like I got treated respectfully in those environments. I used to shop at before it was the super mall, it was the swap meet, the Slauson swap meet. I used to like going over there because there were black people there. I really felt like a little bit deprived living in the areas that I did because there wasn't a lot of like black influence, and that was a big part of like, I would watch BET and like, my brother would get the Source magazine and I would like look at it, and like I would get like Right On and Word Up, and like I would also get like Teen Bop and all these other kind of magazines. Like I was into all the kind of stuff. And but I remember looking at the styles of the clothing and stuff and being kind of like attracted to some of it. Back then with like the group, I was like obsessed with that group Immature, and then like other groups like Jodeci, Boys to Men, all that. Like there was this style where they would all be like kind of chiseled pecs, abs, and have their like shirts open, but it was like baggy style clothes, a lot of denim. It's hard to explain, but it was like, yeah, their urban style, and the hip hop and R&B artists and athletes were dressing a little different than like Jonathan Taylor Thomas, you know what I mean? Or like some of those other famous actors and other people in the public eye. And so that's kind of what I was exposed to seeing, and I kind of gravitated a little bit towards it. But because I was like so involved in church too, it was like I couldn't just wear everything all the time. Like I had limits, so I could wear baggy stuff, but it couldn't be like too overly baggy, because I was going to like where am I gonna wear it? It's like I'm either gonna wear it to like a church youth group thing, I'm gonna wear it to something after church, or I'm gonna wear it at sports league, or I'm gonna wear it on a free dress day. Like all of it was connected to like the church. I couldn't just be all like wearing like a Carl Kanai like denim gigantic baggy style clothes. Like I would wear oversized clothes. I think at one point, because I think my waist was like a 30 back then, and I would buy clothes that were like 32 or like 30. Like I was little, like 5'3", 5'4". I'm still like 5'4" or so right now. And then like I would wear, that's what I would wear, I'd wear like baggy pants, like baggy clothes. But most people were and then there were kind of like, there was like that grunge. I feel like that was like a similar time period where like there were the people who were into like grunge music and stuff like that. They kind of had that like Seattle look, that kind of Kurt Cobain, like a lot of guys with like long hair and like and I grew up around a lot of surfers and that like beach culture and stuff like that. So people with the board shorts and the flip-flops and the all the skate brands, they kind of have a style to them, with the Dickies and the graphic tees and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of gravitated a little bit towards all that. Like I would buy skate shoes like a Cyrus or whatever, and I would like I played a lot with my style, but it was like I was spending like my own allowance on clothes, and the swap meet was like the cheapest place where I could go buy clothing. And I felt uh like good. Like, I don't know, like we were really into like basketball and stuff, and like it's kind of weird looking back. Like it was like sports, church, music, um school. Like that was like the majority of my life, and then like everything else was kind of just like little other stuff, like going up to Venice or going to Dockweiler Beach for bonfires, and just going to sports games, Galaxy games, like when it was at the Rose Bowl still. Like this is like ages ago. So yeah, and most of my friends, I had a big mix of a social group because I was hanging around church youth groups a lot. So most of my social circles until about college were most of my social circles until about college were church connected. Now I did get some pushback from, a little bit from like my mom, trying to kind of, do her best to kind of train me in womanhood going into like career phases in college and stuff. And she would say things like, okay, when you start working, you need to wear like, these types of clothes, and like, you need to like straighten your hair and all that kind of stuff. And I remember pushing back with the hair straightening and being like, you know what, like I don't want to straighten my hair. That's not really something that I want to do. And part of me was like, part of me always, not always, but part of me at a certain point in my life did assume that I was like lazy because I didn't want to be perming and straightening my hair all the time. Like I'll do it when it gets in my way, like when it's like taking too long for me to comb it to get it to the style that I prefer. Then I'm like, all right, let me like throw a relaxer in this so it's easier to kind of get it to style the way I want. But that's the only reason, is because I want it to style a certain way. And when it gets like really thick, it's like, the hair is not like laying down or anything. It's just like poofing up. And I don't mind that, but it's like it gets to a certain point where it's like this just doesn't work stylistically. I have to kind of do something to make it a little flatter, if I want that style. But that's the only reason. It's not like I did do it at some points because I thought it looked better, and a lot of people might say it looks better, but I don't know. Like I've heard people. There was someone I knew at work who she had a black husband, was not black herself, and was talking in the lunchroom saying like that, she doesn't like it when her husband has an afro, and she doesn't really like afros. And I was like in the room, and I'm like thinking like, well, I got an afro, things like that. And I've heard people say like, like my mom would tell me like, oh, it doesn't look professional. Like, and I've heard that before too, where people are like, if you have dreads or braids or, I don't think dreads, I think maybe locks is the better way to call it, right? Because I think dreads, like just the word dread, I don't know if it comes from some negative connotation. I heard that it might, but I never researched into it, so I don't really know. But this is going longer than I thought.